a lot of toing and froing, and the hammer went down at $5.5 million, which was...
The guy was prepared to let go at like $2,000.
Yes.
And it went 5.5.
5.5 million. Yeah. So that was an amazing experience.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Providend conversation. We haven't done this Providend conversation for a very long time already. So today I'm really excited. And I really mean that I'm really excited because just prior to this recording, I had a chance to talk to Matt, and I had to stop him because I said, whatever you've said just now need to go into the recording. So today we are very happy to have our client, a Providend client, Matt Elton, or the full name is Matthew Elton, who is the founder and Managing Director of Hotlotz, which is an auction house. But the difference between Hotlotz and the rest of the auction houses is that, despite the fact that it has got deep traditional values in auction, it's different because you can do the auction online. And they harness new technology to do that. So the conversation is going to be very long. I was just telling Matt that usually we try and do this in an hour or less than an hour, but with Matt, he has got so many stories to tell. We probably will have to overrun, but it'll be interesting conversation. So Matt, you started Hotlotz since 2015. It's been about 10 years. But before we go into that conversation of what Hotlotz is all about, and some of the wonderful stories that you have shared with me, maybe you can tell everyone a bit about yourself. Before you got into this business of auctioning, what were you doing? And what made you start a business in auction?
Well, it's quite a long story. This could be 3 hours now.
Oh no.
So the genesis of Hotlotz, I guess, came about because when I moved to Singapore, I moved here with my partner, and my first job was to find somewhere for us to live. And I found a property, an old shop house, which I fell in love with. So my first task was to kind of turn it into a home and furnish it and, make it somewhere for us. And I went shopping and I couldn't believe how expensive new furniture was in Singapore. I'd come from the UK, which is full of auction houses and full of old things and, things that are fairly, good value and beautiful products for your house. And I couldn't find anything like that here. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to go to the auction house. And I couldn't find one.
In Singapore?
In Singapore.
Okay.
I could find a few specialists, so people that looked at art or people that looked at stamps or coins or, so what we call a specialist sale room. But I couldn't find a sort of what I would call a general sale room. And I couldn't believe it. So I went home that night and I sort of said, look, good news and bad news. Bad news is there's nothing to sit on because I couldn't find anything to buy. Good news is I'm going to become an auctioneer.
But seriously, you made that decision just like that because you couldn't find?
Yeah, kind of. I'm quite passionate about it, and also, I'd been on the other side of the fence, if you like. I'd always bought from auction houses. I love going into a sale room and just seeing what's there. It's always so different. There's always, this myriad of things that, you can never, ever sort of second guess. And it's always exciting. And I just thought, what a wonderful job, to have to actually try and build that here in Singapore. And it was pretty much as quick as that, really. I watched... In the UK, I'm not sure we have so many here in Singapore, but in the UK there are loads and loads and loads of TV shows about auction houses. They're called things like Cash in the Attic and Antiques Roadshow, and there's all these programs.
Not very much here.
Not so much here. Yeah. But in the UK, daytime TV is full of these programs. So I went back and I watched all of them. And I just thought I'm going to try and learn as much about auction houses as I can from the TV. I did that. And then we opened Hotlotz about 3 months later. It was really quick.
That's a quick decision.
It was really quick. Yeah. I just knew it. Sometimes the best decisions don't need to be thought through. You just feel it and you just want to do it, And I just thought, what an amazing opportunity. So we opened up Hotlotz, and there was a lot of kind of joking about the name. I immediately knew that I wanted to use technology. You can't live in Singapore and be a kind of technophobe. The whole city is so connected. So we had to, involve a lot of technology in our sort of new sale room. And that was fun. And I knew that we couldn't call ourselves something which was a bit old-fashioned, because I wanted to sort of very clearly draw a line between those sort of dusty, old-fashioned auction houses, which were a bit kind of off-putting, and you didn't necessarily feel very comfortable, and you thought, do I belong here, and is it for me? And I wanted to create something which was really open and really
welcoming.
Really welcoming. Yeah, really. I never want any of my clients ever to walk in and think they don't belong there, that they're not welcome.
Yeah.
It's really important to me.
Yeah, because in Singapore, I think for many of us, when we think of auction houses, we think of those that only the very rich will go, and they auction things that are like hundreds of thousands of dollars. We don't think of places where we can go in and find something that we can actually afford to buy.
I totally agree with you. And I think that's not the kind of dominant view in sort of most of Europe and America, because there are auction houses in every town, and they kind of service a particular, it's for everybody. And of course you get the ones that sell canary diamonds and grand complicated watches and things like that. But you also get places that sell, just things that people can afford on a more general level, So that was my goal. So we called it Hotlotz.
What does it mean? What does it mean, Hotlotz?
Well, I think, it's really, really, really difficult to choose a one-word name. You've done it yourselves, where you can kind of own all of the .com and the Instagram and the TikTok and the, all those things that, a modern business has to have to kind of own the architecture of your business. So I wanted to get something that was snappy, that was quick and easy to remember, and that people would hopefully, kind of learn to love over time. In the beginning, it was universally hated by everybody apart from me. But
No, but it's really nice. It's very cool. It's really cool.
Well,
I mean, you wouldn't think of it like an artas. Okay, you know what's artas, right?
I do, yeah.
You wouldn't think of anything like a very expensive, but yet it's not a cheap name.
No.
It sounds very cool, right? Hotlotz.
And hot as a kind of, if something is hot, it's usually cool. It's usually like, wow, that's so hot, you know. So, I think that worked. And then obviously auction lots. So, everything that we sell is a lot in the kind of vernacular of an auctioneer.
I got it.
An auction house. So Hotlotz. We became Hotlotz. And now I love it. And I think everybody remembers it. And it's, it's a great name. But branding is difficult. It's not an easy subject to do.
That's right. But the name, in a way, attracts attention and eyeball, because you'll be thinking what is this name, Hotlotz? But now you explain it. I can see it.
Yeah.
You made the decision in 3 months, but were you doing it full time? Because when you came to Singapore, you obviously had a full-time job. You were doing marketing or something?
I worked in marketing, I did. And I'd worked in marketing really since my sort of early mid-20s. This for me was, I'd been a happy little marketing bunny, and I like to go to auctions at the weekend and buy things for my house, And this just was a kind of opportunity that I thought, to do something else. Right. I've always been quite entrepreneurial in lots of ways. I've always been interested in business and possibilities as much as anything. What is possible.
Right.
I've never been an entrepreneur in the sense that I want to be the richest person in the world. I'm not that kind of entrepreneur. I'm more just, what can we do? What can we achieve if we put our minds to it? What difference can we make? And I just felt really that in Singapore, this amazing country that had welcomed me, there just was a market for this business. I mean, I'm really no great businessman, but businesses survive because people want them. People use them.
You more than survived. I mean, we just had this conversation. You had a fabulous year this year, so you more than survived. After 9 years, you are thriving.
Yeah, well, I mean, being 10 in itself is quite amazing. Because, sometimes I think that we're still 6 months old, and sometimes I feel like we're about 400, But auction, and most auctioneers have been, what we call legacy auctioneers. They've been around for hundreds of years. It's quite an old profession being an auctioneer, So it's not uncommon for these companies to be super old. So there haven't really been many new auction houses developed anywhere really for a long time. So, starting an auction house in a very modern city, a very tech-driven city, and a city really that's absolutely filled with amazing things, and that's the thing, because I always remember when I started the business, someone said to me, I don't think Singaporeans are big collectors. Not sure you're going to have much stock, not sure you'll have anything to sell. I mean, that couldn't have been worse advice, because it's It's the complete opposite.
Yeah, and I mean, again, before we walked here just now,
Yeah.
you're just telling me, wine glasses, and we're going to come to that because
Yeah.
I think that's going to interest a lot of people because sometimes we don't
Yeah.
know what we are throwing away.
Yeah.
We think these are things that are of totally no value, but
Yeah.
actually they can sell for thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Right? And I thought it'd be very helpful, Matt, if you can help us because I think many of us, including myself, we don't understand how auctioning works.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe you can tell us, the world of auctioning.
Yeah.
How does it work?
Yeah. Well, it's very simple business, really. I mean, it's very simple and it's very kind of collaborative because we very much work with our clients. We're not buying things from you and then trying to make the most money possible selling it to someone else. We collaborate with you. We try and understand the stories, find out about the item, the artifact, whatever it is, and then we put it into market. And then, if it does well, then we all benefit because we work. I mean, this is probably one of the most important points. We work on a commission basis. So if we don't sell your item, we don't charge you anything.
Right.
But if we do sell your item, then we charge a commission based on the
Okay, so
on
your
the price.
clients are the seller.
They are, yeah.
Right, so you look out for the things that they want to sell and then you priced it and
Yep.
you find a group of buyers to come and
Yeah.
bid for something. That's how it works?
So the buyer bit now is where the technology comes in, really, because what we are able to do, which is brilliant, is we put everything that we do onto an online platform. There's 7 million viewers a week. It's global. It's like 300 of the world's best auction houses on one platform, if you like.
Wow.
And there are millions and millions of buyers, and then they bid all around the world.
Right.
So everything we sell goes out to the world, if you like. I mean, 25% of everything that we sell now gets shipped out of Singapore.
And that's the power of technology because you don't have to be physically in that country to do it.
No.
Yeah.
So we are very much a hybrid business, though. We spoke earlier about being welcoming. I love meeting clients, buyers and sellers.
Right.
It's really important that people feel comfortable. And we have a sale room. It's open from Tuesday to Saturday. And everything that we sell, we exhibit. Right. So it's always there. You can come and see it. You can look at it. You can
touch it.
If it's a piece of jewelry, you can try it on. If it's a piece of clothing, you can try it on. We very much, work with our clients in that way.
I mean, that's the USP or the unique selling proposition of Hotlotz. But in traditional auction houses, whereby they may not be there online and you need to go there physically to see it. Is it always the case? Okay, so pardon my ignorance, okay, because I only watch it when in the movies or things like that. Is it a place that you go and then there is this guy that goes up there with the hammer, right? And say, okay, this is going for like $10,000 and people bid for it. Is that how it actually works in auction?
Unfortunately, not anymore.
No more?
Yeah, well, it used to be. So for the first 3 years of Hotlotz, we did live sales. Like, with a gavel on a rostrum, with that crazy kind of patter.
With a thing.
That's a gavel.
Okay.
Gavel, yeah.
Okay.
So we did that. And we had, and you were also able to put a bid into an online system as well. 6 months before COVID, I decided that we should just go fully online. The reason being, it's very safe, it's very compliant, it's very, from a management perspective, there's no funny business. The bidding is extremely clean, and the really, really, big thing there is trust. Obviously, we'll talk about trust a bit later. But the other thing about putting it all online is it opens the world up. So you can be sat in your hotel room in Beijing or Buenos Aires or Barcelona and you're bidding on the same thing as the person in Singapore. So for vendors who are selling things, we truly can offer them the world, and that really means that, getting fair market value for their item is really what we say what we mean, because we really are putting it into a global audience.
Yeah, so I prepared this question because I really, really want to know, right? And I'm sure the audience, the listeners here want to know.
Yeah.
It's a whole list of questions. I'm going to ask them all and then you answer it any way you want it,
Okay.
right? And the question really is, tell us how Hotlotz work, the kind of items you look for, the kind of items that you sell. Where are they from?
Yep.
How do you look for these items?
Yeah.
How do you market these items?
Yeah.
How's commission structure like? How do you differentiate yourself?
Yeah.
Where are your customers from? Are they the rich people or the neighborhood guys, the normal common man in the street? All these questions. Please tell us.
So Okay, so our vendors, the people that sell things, are almost exclusively Singaporean. So 99% of all of the things that we sell come from Singapore.
Okay.
The things that we sell, the types of things, so if you want to be kind of formal, the kind of asset classes that we work across. So we have a general sale once a month, which is called Interiors and Collectibles. And that's very much sort of things for your home. It's pictures, it's furniture, it's, decorative items, and lots of collectible things. So it might be stamps or pens or coins or things that people just generally collect. That's our kind of monthly, it's kind of the kind of everything sale.
Okay, so it doesn't have to be antique.
It doesn't have to be, no,
Okay.
no, definitely not. And lots of things aren't antique because obviously Singapore's quite a young country. If you're running an auction house in the UK, everything's ancient. But here, you're a young country. And also you've got a real sort of shift to luxury and, to jewelry and watches and things like that, which is, very dominant here. So in terms of other asset classes, so we've got sort of three groups, if you like. So we've got the first one, which is that interiors and collectibles sale. Everyone loves it. Everyone looks forward to it. It's always a completely different selection every month, and people just love it.
So it's one day. It's on that one day?
No. So there's all of our sales go online for 10 days.
Okay, but it's a starting date.
So the 10 days, and then they count down to the sale. So for those 10 days, the catalog's published, the bidding's live online, and everything's in view in the sale room.
When does the bidding end? So let's say there's an item,
Yeah.
and you put it online on the first day of that 10th day,
Yeah.
and I like it very much, and I bid for it.
Yeah.
I mean, do I have to wait 10 days before I know
so
I get it?
you can bid anytime. You can start your bidding at any time.
Okay.
And if you get outbid in that period, you'll get a little message in your pocket.
Oh, okay.
You've been out. Would you like to bid again?
Okay.
But most of our sales, like 90% of our sales, close from 6 p.m. on Sunday nights.
That's the 10th day of the
That's
whole,
the 10th day,
okay.
yeah. And when I say close from, the lots all close in a stagger. So lot number 1 would close at 6 o'clock. Lot number 2 would close at 6:01, etc., etc. But because the technology is so clever, what we do is if anyone bids in the last 5 minutes, then the clock adds 5 minutes on.
Oh.
So you have to have a clear 5 minutes to win the item.
Okay.
So you get a lot of kind of to and from back and fro tussles with people. I think the longest we had was 2.5 hours, where
after the supposedly closing, and people kept bidding.
Yeah, so the people just kept going back and forward. It really is exciting. I would tell anybody, if you're bored on a Sunday night, click onto hotlotz.com. There's usually a sale. We're in our Christmas kind of recess at the moment, but there's normally a sale every Sunday. Click in and watch it. You'll be screaming at your laptop screen. It's really exciting. And the prices can absolutely soar at the last minute. Different bidders have got different strategies. Some will, bid right at the last second. Some will kind of bid all through the 10 days. And, it's really exciting. It's horribly addictive. Horribly addictive.
And you can do it. Is there an app, or you go on the website?
Our website is fully mobile responsive. So I would always recommend you, if you're a serious bidder, do it with a laptop. You just get a better, richer experience. But you can, of course, use your phone as well.
Of course.
That's how the kind of bidding works. So stepping back to the kind of asset classes, the products we sell. So we have specialist sales next. Specialists. Yeah.
What's that?
So we sell across a range of specialisms. So we have 6 or 7, I think now. So we have jewelry and watches. So we sell jewelry most months now. So 200 or 300 lots of jewelry going on sale every month. We're very famous for selling jewelry now. We get very good prices. People all over the world buy jewelry from us, and we ship it out to them, wherever they are. So jewelry and watches. Then we do a great fun sale called Designer and Luxury, which is a lot of handbags and a lot of very kind of fancy, kind of high-end clothing. And costume jewelry goes into that. So that's always lovely. It's lots of Chanel and Hermes and, all those things that the world thinks Singapore's obsessed with.
Right.
But we all again, that's a very popular sale. If you're selling those sorts of things, we're selling those things all around the world. Then we sell fine art.
Okay.
We sell coins and banknotes. We sell Asian ceramics and works of art. So that's a really big sale category for us. So that's, jade, silver, snuff bottles, ink paintings. We do that virtually every month now. We're really, really famous for our Peranican sale. That is an absolute hoot always. The buyers are lovely. They are highly, highly competitive. If you're sat at home listening to this and you've got a cupboard full of Peranican porcelain, guys, this stuff is worth a fortune. Send it in. Because,
okay, you're hearing Matt. So if you don't throw it away and don't sell it just to the Garang Buni
I'll
man.
tell you a really quick story, and I love this story. I once went to an HDB out near the airport. A little old lady had phoned up the sale room and she said, could someone come and see her? She had some Peranican porcelain. And I went to see her and she was absolutely gorgeous. She was tiny. And she said she had 4 sisters and that they were from a Peranican family and all of them had been given things by mum when mum had passed on. And she said, they're all in that cabinet in the kitchen. She had a little wooden old-fashioned cabinet in the kitchen. She said, they've been in there for 30 years. No one's touched them. We don't use them. We just use our plates from IKEA like everybody else, But she said, are they worth anything? And I got them out and she had a kamchang, a chupu, a few bowls, a few spoons. She had 8 or 9 things. I think she had a wine warmer, just all very typical, but lovely quality and nicely painted and no damage. And she'd looked after them. They'd lived in a cupboard for 30 years, And she said to me, I always like to know what the motivation of my seller is, just so I can, try and understand them better, so I can do a better job, And I said to her, what's a good outcome for you? What would you like to achieve? And she said, I really want to paint my apartment, my home. And I said, okay. And I said, well, have you had any quotes? And she said, yep. She said, and I forget, but I think it was somewhere between about $1,500 and $2,000 she'd been quoted to pay for the painting. And, I never promise people anything because we're an auctioneer. We can't. We just don't know.
That's
market forces can, dictate all of our prices. We have an idea, obviously. All of my valuers are professionals. They've all studied for a long time. We have an idea, but we don't like to say categorically you'll get X or Y. I said to her, I broke my own rule and I said, look, you know what? Book the painter in. You'll be fine. You'll be absolutely fine. And I think we wrote her a check for like $22,000 or something, which was an enormous amount.
$22,000 for what?
5 or 6 pieces
of porcelain plates and all that?
Yeah. She was absolutely made up. She was so happy. And what's great is because we worked with her, we were able to get the story. We knew, the family, and because some of the pieces had, various bits of decoration on which tied them to a particular family, and we were able to tell the story. So the provenance was really good, which obviously is great for buyers, and she was really happy to sell them because she wanted someone who would love them to have them.
22,000, she can paint a house 10 times.
Well, that's right. Yeah, she was so happy, and our buyers are happy because they know where things come from, and it made me laugh because I think about a week after we paid her settlement. We try and pay really quickly as well. So we try and pay out within 21 days. But we paid her settlement and the phone rang again.
Her sisters.
Yes, literally. And I think we went through 3 sisters and they all did really well. And they were lovely ladies, and, it solved the problem. And it was done, I think when you're handling things from your parents particularly, it's got to be done carefully and with respect. And none of them wanted to feel like they were sort of doing a dishonor to their mum, but they loved the fact that actually the people that bought them loved those things,
Yeah. I mean, for those pieces of porcelain wares, at what price did you start before it got to 22,000?
Oh, a kind of well painted. It depends. It's a very subjective question because obviously the size of the item, the scarcity, any damage that it has or other condition issues. Some things are rarer than others, obviously. So when we're valuing, we're taking all that into consideration. But we give a reserve. So there's always a minimum price, if you like, that that the item can't sell below. But we also estimate everything.
Right.
So like, for example, with her, she might, let's say her chupu, normal size chupu, no damage. We would have probably put, I don't know, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 on the reserve, and it would have estimated, I don't know, $4,000 or $5,000. But, it's just it's a good time for Peranican collectors because the market's very buoyant.
What a wonderful story. Can you tell that story just now when you were telling me about the wine glasses?
Well, I should really. That's about. We obviously go into lots of people's homes, and we meet people in. A lot of our vendors are older people, and they're sort of kind of starting to think about downsizing, and they're thinking, what might have some value. And these are people. These are our vendors are a real mixed bunch, but people are usually very well kind of catered for when it comes to their homes. They understand their property and they understand their investments. People might have been working with someone like you, but people don't often have a kind of firm idea about things. So when we go in, we're able to sort of kind of quite holistically take a view of the property and say to people, look, actually this is valuable, or this is valuable, or the market for this has gone up in recent years, or the market for this is not so buoyant anymore. But people always, often you get like these stories in families as well, where, people will say, oh, that sideboard, Granny said that was really valuable, so it's really valuable. And we might say, I'm afraid it's not, but that picture on the wall there by that Indonesian artist that you might not have heard of, that's really valuable.
So they think something is valuable. You go in and see, and you tell them it's not, but then you always see something else that might be valuable.
Always. I mean, the glasses that you're talking about, that was just our last interiors sale. So we had a suite of Baccarat glass, so 12 wine glasses for red wine, 12 for white wine, and 12 water glasses. And, you might not think that like tableware crystal that you bought in the 1970s would be very valuable. Most people might just think, chuck it in the bin, I think we got $6,000 for that. It's great quality. It's very fashionable. It's made by one of the best glass makers. Those sorts of things will do really well. And people don't often think about those sorts of things,
Right.
So yeah, we do sell those types of homewares. And then I guess other than our specialist sales, I'm dancing around a little bit here, but okay. we're very kind of, I guess where we do a lot of our work, where we have had some amazing results, is we do a lot of what we call private collections, single owner sales. So this is where people have a collection of items. It could be one type of item. It could be Chinese porcelain, or it could be a range of items collected by one person, and we build the sales around the collection.
Right.
People love that story,
and
those sales do super well. And it's always lovely to look back, for one person to look back and see their collection. And for a lot of collectors, it's a real passion. It's their life's collection. And I think most people's kids never want to collect what their parents want. That's we all know that.
We keep a few pieces, and then after that we actually throw it away, right?
Well, no one wants to live in their mum's house. They like going to visit her, but they don't want to live in a decor. We're all pretty similar, I think, in that. And we want things to remind ourselves of our families, but we don't want to like recreate it in our own home. So you get these situations where people come to us and they say, I've spent 40 years collecting something and my kids don't want it. They'll pick one or two things, but I want someone to have it that's going to love it, and that's where these single owner sales come in, and they do really well. They're really successful. We've done we've done big jewelry collections, we've done big porcelain collections, as I say, lots of different, we've probably done 20 of them now. But the last big one we did was for an absolutely lovely family, the Zecker family, Adrian Zecker, the hotelier, the founder of the Aman hotels. Adrian and his wife Bibi were just fabulous clients, and we worked with the family, and they were very happy for their name to be on the collection. You don't have to name your collection. Some people are anonymous, some people are named, and that was a brilliant sale. It was received really well around the world, and for the Zecker family, it solved their problem. Right. It's what do we do with all these things? Who's going to take these things on their next journey? Those family collections are really, we love working on those sales.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always amazed by all these stories that you share with me. And I've got a questions I actually prepped for you, and besides these two stories.
Yeah.
In your almost 10 years of doing this, is there one that's so memorable for you that you never forget? I mean, I know the porcelain one is quite a story, right? Is there one that is so memorable? And sometimes it's not, It's not just the amount you sell it for, but it has a very special meaning to someone. Is there anything like that?
Oh my goodness, there are things every month that are special. I mean, literally every week. And special kind of crosses a number of categories almost, because, I like to do a good job for my clients, and I meet lovely people all the time. And so it can be really super special just doing a good job for somebody and getting something sold. And then, of course, there's the kind of amazing things that you see. I mean, we've obviously sold some pretty amazing things. I mean, the great thing about an auction is, even though we're not Christie's or Sotheby's, an auction's uncapped. So we're very firmly sat in the middle of the market. We sell good things of quality and we do our job really well.
Right.
But there's no cap. So things can absolutely fly.
Right.
So, I mean, I think a lot of people have heard our famous story. We sold a vase for a very small, 12-inch vase.
Small one?
Yeah, 12. It's about this high. I never touched it after it was sold. Once the hammer went down, the virtual hammer went down, I couldn't touch it ever again. Every time I looked at it, my hands just got horribly sweaty, and I thought my legs would give way. But so that was a vase that we sold during COVID, in a digital sale, timed only sale. But the bidding on that started at. It was a funny story. It came in and we couldn't quite believe it was what it was purporting to be. We thought it had to be a copy, and because it was COVID, we decided that we would just sell it with very, very objective cataloguing. So it was catalogued as a blue and white Chinese vase.
It's from China.
It was 100% from China, and it was 100% blue and white. But in terms of putting an age on it, it was really, really, really difficult. Our senior valuer was stuck in Malaysia in lockdown, and we were in Singapore in lockdown, and we were able to work because we had dispensation because we were an online business, but we just couldn't, with any surety put a date on it. Yeah. So, and the vendor was very relaxed. It had been a gift from his grandmother. He was very happy to just see what the market made of it. So we very, very, very pragmatically put $1,000 to $2,000 on it. And it went into sale. It was a 10-day sale as normal. It had a great story, and I love stories. I was a marketing man, I love a good story. So the story with this particular vase was, it was a gift between two world figures. And it had sat in a cabinet in Colombo in Sri Lanka for 50 years. 50 years. Yeah. And it was something that had been passed on to our vendor. He was a fairly young man. It wasn't something he wanted, and he was happy to just test the market. So he popped it into sale. We wrote the story up beautifully, and it had beautiful photographs, and I had a bit of a kind of hunch about it. So the big platform that we sit on with 300 other auction houses, I spent like £10,000, I think, sterling, on the front cover of the website, because it was COVID and we didn't know whether we were going to survive. We just didn't know what was, everybody, we just didn't know what was going to happen, And I thought, well, if there's any time to roll the dice, it's now. So we bought the landing page, and I put the vase on the landing page, and then it went into sale, and a lot of toing and froing, and the hammer went down at $5.5 million. What? Which was
the guy was prepared to let go at like $2,000,
yes.
And it went 5.5
million. Yeah, so that was an amazing experience.
$5.5 million from 2000.
Yeah,
and I bet that guy didn't expect it to be even more than $1 million.
Oh, he didn't expect it to be more than like $30,000 to $50,000. I mean, it was what the market decided that it was right, that it was period. And, at the end of the day, the buyer is the king. They know what they're prepared to pay, and often with collectors, they're like, collectors are amazing people because they just know so much about things, So, so it was an amazing story for us. Amazing COVID story.
That's such an amazing story. I mean, where do all these vendors, how do they find you? How do they know? I mean, you just said that you don't do a lot of marketing. You don't. Before you walked here, you don't spend a lot of money on marketing. How do these people know about you?
Well, I'm a bit old-fashioned, so I quite like word of mouth, I'm afraid.
So
and
all these are word of mouth?
a lot of our vendors come in because they're through personal recommendations. I mean, obviously we're getting a lot bigger now, and actually we've just hired them. We're just in the process of hiring a marketing person full time and putting a proper marketing budget against that and all those sorts of things. We do a lot of marketing for our sales, but it's that we always have done. Obviously, we do loads of marketing for the actual sales, but in terms of getting hold of the stock, we've always been quite I've always felt that personal recommendations are so good. And at the end of the day, it's such a trust business. People trust me with their things that they've looked after all their lives, and they trust me with their stories and their hopes and their dreams for these things. And and we have to be very careful with that trust.
And we're going to talk about trust in a short while, but we're just talking about this area that you are in, which is estate distribution, estate division, and estate distribution. I found it to be so interesting, and it's a piece that is quite linked to what we do here at Providend. Maybe tell us, this whole thing about estate division and estate distribution. What is that all about in your business?
There's multiple kind of reasons why people will call us, why they need the professional support of an auctioneer. And one of them obviously is death. Someone in the family's passed on and they've got a bunch of things and people don't know what to do with those things, And I think that's where we kind of come into our own, really, because we can kind of give a very kind of holistic overview about where there is value and where there isn't, so that people can just move on and move forward, because no one wants to sort of make a mistake, So we're able to come into a situation like that and, very professionally provide advice around, the value of the estate. And then if people want us to put it in sale, then obviously we can then do that.
I think that's so precious, because a lot of times in the work that we do for some of our clients, legacy and estate planning, right, there are a lot of hard assets that our clients will say that they want to distribute fairly and equally to their beneficiaries. But these are hard assets, right? These are like jewelries and things like that. And you obviously can't cut the pieces into two and split it equally. So most times the will say that, you sell these things, the trustees will sell these things, and then you distribute the proceeds equally. And we stop there. We don't really know how the clients are going to do it. We're going to bring it to a pawn shop, and but it's wonderful that you offer such a service.
We do a lot of work like this now, and a lot of increasingly more and more clients are law firms, or professional services, accounting firms, those sorts of people, who will ask us to come in and do that work. And at the end of the day, it's like, dealing with any major change in your life is very stressful. Well, even if you're moving house or you're getting divorced or it's not just distribution of assets isn't always about, someone passing on. But it is a very stressful time. And I think what we're able to do is we're very fair, because we put things into a global market, and the market decides, and
that's right.
You can't fool the market at all, So we are very fair, and particularly when you've got things like jewelry, and it breaks my heart when we see jewelry sent off to be melted. You see these beautiful older pieces, Peranican pieces,
the craftsman work all gone.
And it's horrible, and usually, those things are worth much more than the value of their kind of raw material. So. We sell a lot of jewelry now, and a lot of jade jewelry, a lot of older jewelry that a lot of sort of younger people might think, no one wants that. It's kind of granny's jewelry, but there's market for it.
I can see the value, very clearly. For those of you who are listening, you might be asking yourself, why not I sell my watches, my jewelries, all these things to a second-hand buyer and reseller, right? I guess the difference is that, these people will probably try and give you as low a price as possible so that they can mark it up and sell it to their customers as high as possible to make the biggest margins. But with you guys, you are fair, because you put it up there and the market decides, right? And you are in a way on their side, because the higher they sell, the more you make, right? So
correct.
I can see that that value definitely. And the other thing that I have taken away in this portion of the conversation is, if you think that you have something valuable,
Yeah.
don't just throw it away.
No, don't. Please don't.
Or sell it to
Yeah.
a Garanguni, or I mean, not that, we are not condescending here.
No, not at all.
Yeah, but go
Yeah.
look for Matt. You probably get a much better price.
It's as easy as just dropping a picture onto an email or WhatsApp and just sending it over to the hello at Hotlotz email address.
Right.
You know, it's really that easy. And my team are very good. We're very calm and we're very professional, and you know, and we're very, very objective. You know.
Yeah, you never know. You might be getting like $20,000 to $5.5 million from something that you don't think is that valuable.
Exactly. And it's yeah, and I think, you know, and particularly when if you're the executor of an estate, that is an enormous responsibility.
That's right.
I mean, not only legally, morally, it's an enormous responsibility. You know, it's not something that, you know, should be taken lightly, because it is a lot of responsibility. And I think being able to sort of look the beneficiaries in the eye and say, look, this went into a sale that was globally marketed, you know, it was done professionally, and the price that we achieved was the price in the market. You can say you've done your job well then.
Yeah. I mean, throughout our conversation, we talk a lot about trust. The entire conversation, you know, a lot of your explanations and what you have shared, it was peppered with trust and trust and trust. So this is the time. Tell us. I mean, you mentioned that trust is in this business of auctioning, is really about trust. Why is trust so important in this business of auctioning? Especially important, I'll say.
It's the glue, to be honest, for me. I mean, for me personally, it's really important. I mean, trust for me is everything. I'm a very I like to think I'm very loyal and I'm very trustworthy, and, you know, and people can put their faith in me. I think for a business like ours, you know, where we're handling things which are precious, which have memories, you know, which are potentially very expensive, you know, being able to trust us to do a good job is absolutely number one, you know. And, you know, and just in terms of, like, you know, if you just look at it as a business, you know, businesses thrive because people trust them. And it's not rocket science, you know. If you do a good job for people and they feel that they got a good result, then they will recommend you. And that's all I want. That's the best I can get from my clients, is that they feel that they can say to their friends, you know, these guys did a great job. You know, if you need this sort of service, then call Hotlotz. You know, that there's nothing more flattering for me than someone that phones up and says, my friend said I could trust you. You know.
So I mean, you're a Providend client. So this is the time whereby I'm like scouting for some marketing. I mean, okay, so you are a Providend client, right? And you talk about trust. Yeah. And obviously you are pretty affluent, right? You have worked very hard and earned your money. What made you trust us to give us your life savings to manage? Don't take that long. It's not very good marketing.
I mean, trust is very personal, isn't it? It's about people. It's about relationships with people, you know. And the person that looks after me in your business, I liked very much, and I trusted him, you know. And, you know, of course you can do your due diligence, and you can, you know, go off and look at statistics, and you can, you know, check this versus that. And to be honest with you, I'm really not that person. If I can understand half of what I'm told, I'm probably doing quite well, you know, when it comes to financial management. But what I do understand is people, and I trusted him. And, you know, when I set this business up, I tell you what, I only really had one rule, and that was to always trust myself. And, you know, if someone comes into my business and they say, oh, can you do this? And I don't like the look of it, or I think there's something wrong, then I don't do it. I need to go to bed every single night knowing that I made the right decisions. And, you know, if I accept that some of my decisions might not be the right decisions, but I don't ever want to make a decision where I never want to be in the position where I say, do you know what? I knew that was the wrong thing to do, but I still did it. You know, so I really trust myself, you know. And so, you know, when meeting your colleagues, it was fairly easy because I liked them. I understood what they were saying to me. I trusted them, and I felt that I could go forward.
So the person you're talking about is our colleague Max, right? So you met Max, you trust him, and I suppose there must be things in him that you talk to that make you trust him. And I suppose competence has a lot got to
of course,
to do with it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you speak to the person and you don't feel that Max knew anything better about finance.
Yeah.
And his ability to explain to you things clearly, easily, right?
Yeah.
You won't trust him. And of course, you know that we are a fee-only model, right?
Yeah.
We work for you. We don't
Like
work for,
us.
right? So, yeah. So you mentioned also, and it wasn't, I think when I met you a few months ago, you told me that you are not a greedy person. And in fact, we just had a little conversation before this, that when you make money, you want to share it with your people.
Yep.
Right. And you are very generous in sharing whatever you make with your people. Tell us a bit more about that. That whole belief that, you should not be greedy about money. If you have got it, as much as possible, you try and share with people. Tell us a little bit about that conviction.
I think it goes back to what I said earlier about, what inspires me is what is possible. I'm really fascinated by what this business can be. And this business can only be a good business or a great business if the people in it are good and great too. They are, without a doubt, my strongest asset. There's no good business in this world with bad people. So supporting those people to grow and enabling them to feel that they're part of a growing business and that they're contributing and that they're recognized is really important. And as we've got a bit bigger and we've made some profits, I've always tried to honor my kind of, when I was kind of young and starting out, and I always said, look, if we can make some profit, I promise I'll share it, And, this year we everybody had a share of the profit, and so it's really important to me. And also, because there's nothing more exhausting in business than having to change people all the time. It's just, you lose all of that lovely knowledge and all of that lovely banter and that kind of goodwill and that, that amazing thing that makes good businesses great. You lose it when people leave. So I want to try and keep my team happy and, working in the same direction as me and, for as long as possible.
Right.
It's much better that way, I think.
Yeah. So, Matt, you've been very successful. You've made your money. What does money means to you?
Well, I think I spend too much time with my vendors because the older I get, the less I want. Bizarrely, like the less things I want. I spend my time with people who are downsizing all the time, and I downsize too. I'm getting to that point now. I'm 50, so I'm just thinking, actually, do I need this? Do I need that? And for me, simplicity is really important. So luxury for me, or wealth, if you like, if you want to call it that, it's about being able to have that more simple life. But the things that I want in my life, I obviously enjoy. It's nice to be able to be, to live somewhere nice and to eat nice things and to go on nice holidays. But I think that,
it's freedom of choice, I suppose. You told me you're going to, tonight you're just going to fly off to Paris to be on your own. That's freedom of choice, right? If you feel like going, you go.
Yeah, only for 48 hours, everybody. And then I'm on family duty.
But you still can, right?
It is.
Not many people can say that, okay, it's enough for me. I'm just going to go to Paris and spend a weekend. I'll just buy a ticket. I go there and enjoy myself. And, money does give you that
Money
freedom.
gives you amazing choices, of course, and you'd be foolish to think that it doesn't. But, the reason I'm going back to Europe is really to see my mum. So I'm going on from Paris. I get 2 days on my own in Paris, and then I can go to
work
the UK
for your mum.
and then go to work for my mum. And she's the meanest of all of them. But mum's getting older, and we've spent the last 2 or 3 months moving her into a bungalow and making that future proof and making sure that she's in a safe environment and it's cozy and warm and lovely and things like that. That all costs money. For me to be able to do that is an absolute luxury. For me to not have to worry about, some of the things that she's facing, that's amazing. That is as good as it gets, really, so it's a means to an end, but never money for the sake of money.
Sure.
But money for a chance to do something good,
Yeah, that's a very nice segue to the last question I have for you. And in all our Providence conversation with people, we always ask this last question.
Okay.
Right.
Gosh.
So and it's
Gonna get
taken from a
ranked.
book. No. And actually, it ties in with whatever you have just said. So this book, if you've not read it, read this book. Okay, in their book, Repacking Your Bags,
Okay.
the authors Richard Leder and David Shapiro, they define the good life as living at a place where you belong,
Yeah.
with the people you love,
Yeah.
doing the right work like Hotlotz,
Yeah.
on purpose.
Yeah, I agree.
What do you think?
Tick. I mean, I love my job. I love it. I absolutely love it. And we all go to work for a long time every day, and it's such an honor to do a job that I enjoy, so I think, I started Hotlotz when I was 40, so I'd done plenty of other jobs, so it's a real, you can tell when you do something that you just love, that you don't have to force yourself to do, so the third piece there about doing
the right work,
the right work.
Yes.
Yeah, I really feel like I found my, the right work for me. Yeah, I absolutely love it. It's challenging. It's fun. I get to meet people. And you know what? Every single day, Chris, someone walks into my office with a box or a bag and they pull something out and they go, what do you think of this? And it can be, yesterday, it was a 1956 England football cap. So when they made the caps, when you got capped for playing for England, they gave you a cap, a velvet cap. And this was a velvet cap.
This is from a player.
From a player.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, amazing.
So this guy has it.
Yeah, there's only ever, for every game, there's only the players get given it. And this is the international game. And we're trying to work out now which player it is, because we don't know which player it is. But some of them have come up for auction. So we can definitely say that it's not Bobby Charlton, and we can definitely say it's not Jimmy Greaves. And, but the day before, someone brought the most incredible selection of jewelry in for me. And I sat there like a kid, playing with all these beautiful stones. What sort of a job gives you that? I mean, that's amazing. You know, I love it.
No, I truly believe you love your work, because every single time that I talk to you, you are bursting with stories and excitement about the work that
it never
you do.
stops.
So I can see you are definitely living a good life. So thank you very much, Matt, for spending time with us and sharing with us, so many exciting stories. I wish you all the best, and enjoy your me time at Paris. Enjoy your time with your mom, your partner and your sister in England. I think it's a great time to spend time together with the people you love.
Thank you, Chris. It's been a real honor to come in today.
Thank you.
We always have amazing chats, don't we? We really do.
Yes.
And you guys have made a real difference to me, looking after me, taking away that worry that I had in my head that I should be doing more for the for that side of my life. So I do really appreciate it.
Thank you for the privilege. So thank you very much for watching the Providend Conversation. I hope you found this to be super interesting as much as I did, and I hope you took away good tips. The big one is just don't throw away anything and everything. Before you throw away, send an email, call Hotlotz, call Matt, let them have an opinion whether it's worth anything before you go and throw it away. So thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.